Hello, my silky friends. I hope I'm broadcasting live. Somebody put something in the comments. I am having the worst time today trying to do anything. I don't know what is wrong with my computer, but it is insane. Um, I tried to do a members only. I don't know if anybody even saw that, so I cut it off because I was like, I don't know. If you're saying anything, I'm not seeing it. But I just got a notification in my email that I'm live. So I guess I'm live. How are y'all doing? Did you have a Merry Christmas? I hope you did. Hey Samantha. Okay, there's one person here, so somebody is out there. I hope the holidays weren't too rough for you. I am I had really good Christmas, okay? Really good Christmas. It was great with family and friends and um, we did our Christmas stuff, our Christmas Eve stuff, and sorry, I if you're a member, I promised that I would show you our birdhouses, and I also promised I would show you the decorations. But I do have videos. I just forgot to post them, and I thought about it tonight during members only. But I'm kind of waiting to see if Jennifer is in the chat. Let me shoot her an email because she thought it was going to be later. Um, Hold on just a second. But I wanted her to be in the chat because she is in Western North Carolina and she is talking about, and we did a pre-recording, but we are both going to be in the live chat. Okay. And I'm having the hardest time trying to get the sound and everything together for this. But y'all, the things that she says both on recording and off, it's crazy. It's a land grab. It is a land grab over there. So, oh, okay, you're here. All right, good to see you, Jennifer. I hope this. So put in the chat if the sound is bad. I don't know what the problem is. I downloaded the video that we did, and when I try to play it, I'm having the worst time. I don't know where everybody's at today. What is today? It's today's Sunday, isn't it? It's been like 3 days long because I've done so much stuff today. So anyway, all right. I um hope maybe we'll get some more on the replay. Uh, okay, I sound okay. Good. I hope the video that we did, and again, we're going to be in the live chat to answer. Well, I'm not answering any questions because I don't know anything, but I will be in the live chat also. And I hope that you can hear this. So I'm going to start playing it. And please, Samantha, would you put in there if you hear it okay? Because it is a hot mess. All right. I'm going to try. I didn't edit anything, even, but I've got it bumped up a little bit. Just all the stuff that we were talking about prior to getting set up. But I think I've got it pretty close. All right. So let's go there because this is about 45 minutes, but it is very, I don't even know the word devastating, heartbreaking. It makes me angry. All of those things. So, hey, Carol, good to see you. So yeah, I'm gonna put this on and let Jennifer talk. Let me see if I can do this right.
I like to talk to people on the phone like I did with you, just to kind of get a feel, and then I kind of know a little bit of a backstory, so I can, ask questions that I kind of already know the answers to. But that's okay. Okay. Let's start with, you were telling me on the phone a little bit about the culture of the area that you live in Western North Carolina, how it's generational. So let everybody know kind of how it was before all this happened.
before the main storm, we the population in our area, which borders the eastern Tennessee line, in our area, we've been kind of cut off, as most of the southern Appalachian mountains have been. Um, Factories, most of the work in our area for generations has been either farming, be that, for cattle, sheep, tobacco used to be the main stapler. Um, and most family lived in, I don't want to say the word clans, but family, folks, Lord.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
yeah, like families would live in an area that was together, and land was passed down from generation to generation. Usually, the work around here, there were some families that were kind of known for being doctors and lawyers and teachers, but other than that, most families worked either on the railroad or factory jobs, that kind of thing. Factory jobs kind of have gone downhill, which is transitioned some. Some people, of course, have left, but a lot of the people that are from our area that can trace the roots back has been here from generation to generation. And like I was saying, we have a saying around here of land rich and money poor, because we have land that has been passed down for generations upon generations, that sometimes it's just hard to even pay taxes on it. But
Right.
it's like, my mother always said, you cannot be run off land that is yours.
You
You know,
wouldn't think.
you wouldn't think normally. And that, I think that is a set of pride for the people in my area, as well as being more self sufficient. We're not known for having, as I said earlier, we had two Dollar Generals, and we did have two grocery stores, a Walmart and an Ingles. The Ingles got washed away. The Walmart took, you know, so everything, including from baby formulas to groceries to, you know, our medication, nearly always came from from this type of place or a very small local store.
Right. So
So most people know each other on some level, whether that goes
exactly.
back to, being kinfolk, or if that just means, knowing by generations, and we used to live beside them. So
Right.
that is something that, is passed. And when the storm hit, that that helped a lot, because people knew where people were, and
Exactly.
you know how to go about helping them and who to check on first.
Right. So tell me, were you all, I know, just like Alabama, it sounds, actually, I used to live in North Carolina, and rural North Carolina is very similar in a lot of ways to Alabama in that kind of clannish way. And you know everybody. But the day of the storms, they passed, we've had some weather here, but what were you all expecting? Like just a regular storm?
That was just it. Yes. I work in healthcare at a hospital, so we were kind of told, if you're scheduled to come in, you might want to come in and spend the night, just to be on the safe side, which is what I did. Um, but we have. Are you still there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I don't know, something happened with my phone. But anyway, so I went on in, but we were kind of expecting the power to go out maybe a couple of days, which we kind of look for, which is not unusual given snowstorms, that kind of thing in our area.
Right.
We did not expect. It's very hard to live on a mountain and expect a flood to affect you.
Of course. Yeah.
Um,
You
the
wouldn't.
wind. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying you wouldn't. There is no way to be prepared for a flood when you live on the mountain. It's almost insanity.
And it's almost like, I've heard people say, well, why didn't you get out? There's number one, there's not a lot of places to go when you live paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, you can go, stay at a hotel. Number one, you don't know how far reaching this is going to be. But no one ever expected the devastation because it had never happened. Well, there was a flood in 1916 that was still talked about. But even that was not this flooding was a lot worse. The circumstances, because it was not just the flooding, it was the wind and the tree damage. In rural North Carolina, it's trees everywhere are the trees. So you've got trees that were hundreds of years old. This storm had the right combination of loosening the ground with the mud and the deep rain, and then having the trees, blowing the trees and then toppling over. It has completely changed our landscape in multiple areas.
Okay, I'm gonna switch over here to the pictures that you sent me.
Right.
Can you see this like I can?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me, and this, y'all, I mean, can you see this is a bridge and a regular road? Like, you can't get by on either side. So tell me exactly what we're looking at here.
Okay, that is just across the Tennessee line into Erwin, Tennessee. It was a 6-lane interstate.
Oh, wow.
That had not been put in very many years ago, that was set to make it easier for trucks, commerce to go over from coming like from Asheville, North Carolina, over into Tennessee.
Wow.
Over into Johnson City, over into that way, Knoxville. So as you can see, it basically just curled these bridges and roads. It just curled them into nothing. They either washed away or they were just huge hunks of them that got washed up.
And I can't remember, how many months are we into this now?
They have gotten some of this fixed, but this was about at least 2 months ago.
Okay.
So, if not more, they are trying to fix the major roads first. So, with it being less than 2 months, with it being not being repaired for less than 2 months, it can kind of give you an idea.
Wow. This looks like a major thoroughfare, too.
Oh, yeah, it was, like I said, I believe it was a 6-lane, definitely 4, if not 6-lane, road that had not been put up long, brought over in the main way to get from North Carolina into Tennessee on that side. I will tell you that in Erwin, there was a huge loss of life from a plastics company that did not let the employees go till the power went off.
Oh, wow.
And when the power went off, they thought that they would be safer to go together. So like the guys that had trucks, everybody piled in, and they were, I believe, 28 people that got killed either by being swept over the sides or out of the trucks, or the whole trucks just got embedded in mud and debris.
Wow.
Not far from this is a hospital. It is a small ER hospital that was to help because of the rurality of the area. It was just a place to give aid. They were having to get helicopters because what few patients and the doctors and the nurses had to evacuate up to the top of the hospital and have helicopters to fly in to rescue them off of the top of that hospital.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
But you have along this road, there was two houses that my daughter loved to go to. They were very beautiful old brick red homes. I think one was 2 stories and one was 3, and a huge red barn that they always decorate so pretty for Christmas. And when my daughter and I rode over through there, it's just gone. There's no trees there. There's no fence. It's just mud.
Wow. Oh, wow. All right, I'm going to go to another picture here.
Sure.
Now, let me see if that's in there right. Okay, what are we looking at here?
This is my hometown of Spruce Pine, North Carolina. If you'll look to the far right of the picture from that little bitty roof that's sticking up was actually the train depot that had been there for years and years. The train tracks is on the other side. And then the main lower street, as we called it, is on the left of that picture.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was the town that I grew up in. There was an upper and a lower street. This is the lower, but as you can tell, it has just been totally washed out. Even to this day, there's places they've not even started cleaning up.
Yeah, and
because there's just so much.
Yeah, and when you're talking about towns this size with this much devastation, like you're taking out supply for everybody in the area. I mean, I'm very familiar with towns like this. I mean, unless you go many minutes down the highway or down another road, this is it for your needs. Everything you do is in town. And this is, gosh, just you sent me these pictures and I was like, oh, I know how devastating this is. And it's such a cute little town. Oh my gosh. All right. So
it's just okay. Now this is a town that's actually the seat of my county. It's in Bakersfield, North Carolina. But on this side that you're seeing is where, if you go back the opposite way, is the town hall and everything. But this right here is the main street through the town. That is where the funeral home was, just restaurants, all these other things before you head up Round Mountain. And as you can see, all of that's just washed away.
Oh my gosh.
There was a river walk. Now, and when I'm saying a river walk, the river was on the right-hand side looking at this picture. The river, I mean, the kids played in it. It might have got ankle deep. And it might have been, I'm not a good judge of how far things are, but I would say that you could have stepped across the river in maybe 10 steps.
Yeah.
It's just a little creek. But this is what it turned into during the storm.
Wow. That is crazy. You know, I we've had like slight flooding around here, and if just people, if you've never been in a flood, even one where it's just, a foot deep, like it's devastating. You can't drive in it, you can't go anywhere. People die in less water than that. And so, yeah, if you're not familiar, you're like, oh, well, it probably dried up, the next day. But it wasn't like that though, because there were dams that burst, right?
There wasn't not only that, but the picture before you, that road,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only road. There's no other road. It's not. There was a couple of other roads, like if you went about 50 miles,
Yeah.
that you could try to go around. But I mean, even those were washed out. But as far as the main drag, like what an ambulance would take,
Mm-hmm.
that would be the way that you could get in and out of that area. And
So,
it wasn't just when the water went away, it wasn't just like, oh, we've got this mess to clean up. The road was gone. It was like restarting everything all over again. All the paving, all that. What was there could not be used. It was just in the way, having to be moved.
yeah. And when people who live in cities or even in bigger places, they don't understand that literally, if you cut off that one road, you cut off many, many people and many other side roads and places where houses are. Like, you can't get out. You are completely isolated.
It is true. And like I was telling you earlier, with that being the county seat, but everything was flooded, everything was down. There was no calling for help. There was no phone service, there was no internet service, there was no way to get in touch with EMS, law enforcement. There was no way to even see if there was any shelters or any place that you might could get help, or to say, okay, this place has fresh, clean water. There was no information and no way to get information.
And you were telling me on the phone, yeah, there still is no internet and hardly
Mhm.
any phone service.
In
After,
places that, in places that were around the river, and still a lot of places were actually kind of part-time, I guess you would say. They just kind of threw up power lines and phone lines to for people to get power then as quickly as possible, which it was, several weeks, and we appreciated it. But now when they go back and fix it, that means they have to cut all that power back off, re-put up new pole lines, and go back and redo it the right way.
right.
So we're still having, like just a road that leads to our local hospital. Just last week, they closed for a week because the road was impassable in places, and they had to go bulldoze and repave it and everything to where, and you got to remember that people live and work
Mm-hmm.
on both sides of of these places and in these down these roads.
So, how are people surviving right now?
Very carefully. A lot of people right now is, if your house was destroyed, you basically are living with family, or they have been given tents.
But it's
Um,
cold. It's too cold for a
yes,
tent.
it got down last week to 22 degrees here.
Oh, God.
Um, but yeah, they they are places where you can like register for tiny houses. However, your land has to meet criteria for that. And that is very particular set of circumstances. They can't be on stilts. They have to be so far away from water. It has to be a whole rigmarole to get a tiny house, even if you own the land, because of the storm now. And a lot of people have just had to try to maybe even move on, try to find work. Some of their families are like living with their family here, and the adults, the women and the men are trying to find work elsewhere, because not only are their houses gone, but so is their places of business in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the Appalachian Mountains own their own business. And their workshops, whatever they've been done, is completely washed away. And you can't, and as far as living conditions, you cannot, very, very few people had flood insurance here, because we live on the mountain. Unless you were near a creek or a river or a lake, that's just not something you did.
Right.
So you have to be very careful. Like I was telling you, with my insurance, I was able to get my roof fixed, which got blew off due to my insurance, but I had to be very careful not to even say the word flood in the conversation. It had to say wind and rain damage.
Right.
And if there's anything like under the house that was flooded, if you mention it, they would not give you your claim. And a lot of the things like the mudslides that took out houses, they were posting notices on insurance stores that said, "We're very sorry, but unless your insurance specifically states flood insurance, there's nothing we can do to help you."
So people just had their whole lives and livelihoods, houses, everything just swept away in a matter of a day without recourse. The insurance companies won't pay. And then I have even heard, honestly, Jennifer, of insurance companies denying death claims, when I don't know how
Yeah.
you do that. How does your life insurance do that? Like, that's why you pay it. And they know you're going to die someday, as you do, but I don't understand this. And then, you said the offices were closed. You had to do it in a different way. But what has the government, tell me about any federal aid and what that entails?
The only federal aid, and it took forever. I'll be honest, in my county, in Mitchell County, it took forever. Like a week and a half, which when you have no food, you have no, not only did we have no way to get food, we had no way to, to get gas to go anywhere. We had no idea if our loved ones were okay. The roads were not open. So the government was not seen for a very long time. In Avery County, where I work, it was a little bit better. They did fly helicopters into the hospitals where I work and did drop off some supplies for, like feed for animals for people that has farms. And they did bring in, where they could bring in tankards with some gas for medical, and like I know that I could because I worked at the hospital, but for police that you could fill up your car with gas. But as far as like help with anything else, not a lot. Just to be really honest, if you got in very early and were able to have internet and fill out the FEMA sheets, then you were able to get some help. I was lucky enough to be able to get my floor replaced because of the damage with that. However, my son was just a couple of days later than me getting in his stuff, and he still has not heard from FEMA.
I mean, it's kind of crazy though. You're saying, okay, and I know you were blessed by where you live and being able to have internet access because you're higher up. But I mean, isn't it ridiculous to expect people to fill out a sheet online for assistance when you don't have any phones or internet? Like,
oh yeah,
how are they supposed to do that?
Yeah, and not only me, it wasn't where I was blessed that I could do it at work.
Mm-hmm.
I did not have nobody in my area had internet for, I'm going to say, at least a month, and some still don't, unless you had Starlink, and that was few and far between. But most people, it was a month before you could get internet service. You did not, cell phone service was the same, although we did, after about a week and a half, somebody did send in, I think, one or maybe two mobile cell phone towers to where we could at least use that. But you've got to realize too that even at this time, that all of your emergency systems are down.
Mm-hmm.
Because the counties doesn't have internet either. So that there is no really 911 like you would think of it. There is no calling to see, has any place got gas. There's no Walmart, and because nobody hardly carries cash anymore, this was a big thing. When Walmart did open after about a week and a half to 2 weeks, they said, okay, there's like a limit on items, all items, and it has to be cash. Well, nobody much carries cash, and the ATMs are not working because they have no power to them. Plus, there's no internet. There's no way to get cash.
Exactly.
So you have, yes, you finally have some place that is open, but it doesn't really help a whole lot. And there wasn't any other way to go about it. I mean, there wasn't any federal agencies that stepped up and said, okay, for every home, we're going to give you this, that. Or even say, okay, this is a time schedule that we're looking at, and we can help you by, age group or, needs, special needs,
right?
Whatever. There was none of that. It was kind of do or die. And it still is. The one thing that I would say helped, and it continues to help us the most that I have seen active, is Samaritan's Purse. They have gone out, they have cleaned around people's homes, they've cut lumber, timber off of people's houses and out of their driveways. They've put, like, for me, they put a tarp over my roof. But for everybody that is called, they have pretty much, for Christmas or Thanksgiving, they gave out food vouchers to Ingalls so people could have something to eat. The local churches have done what they can, and people of the community have done what they can. They have went in and, used 4-wheelers and their chainsaws and whatever they could to try to help neighbors. But they are still places where, you just kind of hold your breath and go with a prayer, because half of what you're driving on is asphalt with no road underneath it. But if you get to where you're going, that's the only way to get there.
Wow, that's terrifying. I mean, but I guess you have no choice. You have to take the chance to drive on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go to work or if you're going to go to see, palliative care people, people that are on hospice, you don't have a choice. And a lot of these people, we're having to have people come in that had side by sides, four wheelers, people that could get them into the places that the cars couldn't go, just to make sure to see if these people were okay.
Right. And I mean, one of the things, I mean, I can't imagine, but I know one of the things that we saw on the outside the first probably week or week and a half after the devastation, those of us who were watching it and trying to keep up, so many people were loading up tractor trailers full of water, powdered milk, formula, whatever, like the basic needs. And
Mhm.
I saw video after video of FEMA intercepting and even turning them away. I know two agencies in my county in Alabama these are just people that I work with every day. So there were probably a lot more, but I know at least two tractor trailer loads went into the area. Now, this was probably 2 weeks or more after. And I mean, the only way they could get through is through local churches and stuff like that who could distribute, because nobody was letting them get in. And God forbid, one of those agencies intercepted the truck, because they would not be able to. And this is, I don't understand. Why would you do this?
I don't understand either. I don't understand why that there's not some sort of guideline at least in place that says, okay, we know people here desperately need Enfamil. Say, okay, we've got a supplier that is willing to donate this, and you've got government officials standing in the way, or FEMA going, well, we can't allow that to happen. We don't know that these. And what really burns me up is the fear mongering. And Silky, the fear mongering was of my people, of the Appalachian people. It wasn't of the people that that was bringing the things in. It was, oh, well, you don't want to go here, they might shoot you. Or, they say they're racist back in here. Or, they're not very well learned back in here, so I don't know if they can understand that they're trying to help you. You would not believe the amount of people of that I have heard, just out in the community, as well as being in the healthcare industry like I am. I have a friend of mine that tried to do counseling sessions at some of the shelters. She's a counselor. And FEMA was like, no, not unless we've got one of our agencies there too, agents there too, who knows nothing of the area, who knows nothing of, anything, but they kind of made like a little station in front of the hospital where I work, and the people were really nice, but the government people had them scared absolutely to death to go into our community. And the people that live here is like, that's not right. You're going to have somebody, yeah, they're going to be hair trigger. And yeah, you might have somebody shoot over your head and say, wait a minute, what do you want?
Yes.
But it's not going to be like, just shoot you and take what you've got.
Exactly.
People were just needing help. And that was the one thing that was almost worse to me than not doing anything, is blocking people that would and could help by trying to make it out like we were the monsters or we were the reasons that this happened to ourselves or that we were not deserving
Oh,
of any type of help
that
simply
is
because we live a slower, well, I mean, not truthfully, I mean, it's changing, but a lot of our ways do go back hundreds of years. And I'm not ashamed of that. You know, our dialect
right.
is pure English. It's just an older way of English.
Right. And I understand that even here, not in a devastating situation, there are places not far from me that, yeah, if you go on somebody's property and they don't know you're coming, will they come outside with a gun? Probably. Will they shoot over your head? It could happen, but they're not going to shoot you without reason and they're going to
Right.
hear you out. And yeah, I understand that people don't, city people, they don't understand that, but it is all about we don't know who you are. But certainly when you are an agency like this and you are there to render or supposed to render aid, like that's something you, first of all, you should already be culturally aware and be trained for that. And then secondly, you still go. And you don't like it seems to me, because even just days after this, Jennifer, they were saying on TV, okay, well, we can only give them a very small amount of money because FEMA is broke. But yet, you know, let's talk about the billions of dollars that we're sending, still sending, have sent to the Ukraine since this devastation, since Hurricane Helene. But yet, we can't help our own people. And this is what makes me so furious because it's our tax dollars, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
yours, mine. Like that's what it's for, the American people. And so I think this is one of the reasons that they don't, mainstream media is not reporting this. They're not talking about it because they don't want anybody to know how, I mean, to me, on this scale, this is crimes against humanity. That is my
Oh,
opinion.
definitely. Definitely, because they're getting it on the back end too, like we were talking earlier. They are making it as difficult as possible for people to keep their land here.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're making new sanctions, well, we'll give you, like, if somebody doesn't have the money to build like a house, we'll give you a tiny house, but you can't put it there because it would have to be put on stilts or it doesn't have the correct underpinning or it's not sanctioned for that or you can't have it in town limits or it has to have a certain kind of septic tank. You know, all these things. And then you've got these people that are coming in on the back end that see the mountain, see the beauty of it, and are like, oh, well, we can build multi-million-dollar, you know, gated home communities here if we get rid of the so-called riffraff first.
Right.
And this is a great opportunity to do that. We make it to where they can't afford to build back, so they have no place to live. So we will, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
But no, like we were talking earlier, also the mineral deposits, the quartz, the lithium, the stuff that is very valuable underneath that property. Yeah, they can mine it and then rebuild, like you said, multi-million-dollar homes. And look, I'm a conspiracy theorist, I guess. I'm just going to own it. But not for every conspiracy, but definitely, you know, when it doesn't make sense, Jennifer, and it doesn't add up, and you had told me earlier how when they do offer for your land, it's very small amounts, right?
Yeah, it's small. They'd probably take, I would say what they're doing is looking at the tax value and probably starting at half, if that. because these people are desperate. They have no homes. That in some cases they might not have a job right now. They still have mouths to feed. They still have medicine to buy. They're not getting any kind of support anywhere else. So they've caught them kind of between the devil and the deep blue sea, in the fact that it is a stopgap measure, but what you're giving up, what they're taking at such a small price is worth so much more.
Right.
And it's just taking advantage of people. And I really think, I've always heard the magician is like, oh, look at this hand, not that one. And I think that's really easy in this situation to do.
Yeah.
Is to show something glittery and goldy in this hand and be robbing somebody that has very little to be robbed of in this in the other.
And so really the only way that people, if they can manage to, hopefully a lot of them have property paid off, but if they can manage to still pay the mortgage and stay on their land, even living in a tent in these harsh conditions, this would be maybe the only way that they could save the property, which is almost impossible.
Yeah, and that's true. And it's like we were talking, like the land that I live on right now has been passed down for at least 4 generations. But you start, and people have a lot longer history, in certain areas. But if you don't have any way to pay bills, you don't have any way to rebuild, you're not sure about a job, then you start thinking, okay, how am I going to do this?
Right.
And, the answer comes to mind, well, if we move someplace, maybe that we could, have a better start, we can find better work. Okay, how are we going to do that? Well, we'll have, we would have to sell the land. That's the only thing we've got that's worth anything.
Yeah.
But then once you get that sold, then you're completely out of assets. And a lot of people that have lived here all their life, they're not dumb by any means, but they're used to a certain way of life. So it would be very hard for them, because, say, like, even at $100,000 for a home might sound like a fortune to them. But when they get out into a different place and realize rents for your size family for even a halfway decent place is going to be $2,000 a month, your food's going to be this, all of this other stuff that they're not used to is going to be completely overwhelming, very hard to adjust to with little to no support.
Right.
And that's just setting up for people basically to be homeless.
Exactly. And again, I feel like, being the theorist that I am, the reason that they're not talking about it is they don't want people to know. To me, this looks like a land grab. That's just my opinion. I can't say, like, I'm not slandering anybody. This is my opinion because this is what it looks like. And, I understand how generations of people, like, to leave you just can't fathom leaving your land and all of your family, whatever, and going somewhere, living a life. It would be like going to another planet. I mean, oh my gosh. I know, like, I'm looking at how long we've been talking, and I could talk to you for hours and hours on this, honestly, because it's so upsetting. But really, I had said who is helping, and you said Samaritan's Purse. So I'm going to put a link to Samaritan's Purse.
Okay.
Any other places that you can think of?
That really, they're the only one that I would be comfortable on a national scale sending. And a lot of the other churches are just too small to have, something like a website or something.
Right. Well, there's no internet now either. So,
Yeah. I mean,
um, yeah, I get it. Is okay. What other than donating to Samaritan's Purse is what? How can we help? Like a lot of us out here, we feel like our hands are tied behind our back. What can we do? Is there anything?
well, I ask for prayers for my area, especially, just thoughts and to get the word out. I would rather, even with all this stuff, I would rather it be brought out to the open, whether anything can be done about it or not. Maybe the next time something like this happens, it will, it'll show more people, the news and everything. It won't be swept under the rug as much.
Right.
Um, but yeah, other than that, I mean, to be honest, I'm not really sure. We keep getting told that this might come through or that might come through, but I don't think any of us at this point put any hope in that. It's just trying to figure out how to navigate what we've got.
Well, I feel like and again, I don't put my hope in any one person or political party, but like it's ludicrous to do so, but I am hopeful that maybe if people will make enough noise about this situation and not let it go and keep bringing awareness, that maybe the new administration that comes in will take notice and do something. I mean, we're not even doing for Western North Carolina or South Carolina or Georgia, some of these places that were devastated. We're not even doing what we did for Katrina. I mean,
No,
it's insane. And
and not to be, not to be ugly, but it really, I have the same hope as you, but I really think that it shows the difference in illegal immigrants being put up in hotels and be giving, you know, um, food balance cards, and their electricity's paid and their internet's
yes,
paid and everything like that. When we still months later have people with no electricity, with no housing, and just being kind of give a pat on the head and saying, well, you've not got many people up here anyway.
exactly. And we talked a little bit, and I'm going to try to wrap it up, but we talked a little bit about the death toll, which the numbers that they are telling you and what individuals are putting on TikTok and YouTube and different stuff. Um, I don't think anybody wants the truth outside of the people that are there. I don't think the government or the media wants anyone to know how many people, because like you said, these people that live way back rural, who even knows if they're still there? If they left, if they're safe somewhere, or God forbid, they're still there.
Right.
It's insanity, and it's got to stop. I truly believe this is a big case of crimes against humanity, and I hope that somebody in the powers that be is held accountable for this. Anyway, I'm I know we're running out of time because I want to I want to throw this on the live stream tonight, and
Okay.
but anyway, I'm gonna end the recording about right here.
Okay.
And as far as that now, but don't go anywhere, Jennifer.
Okay, so Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, y'all who have hung out. Oh, hold on. Let me turn my lights back on. Oh my goodness. All right. So, what did y'all think? Um, I am. I'm devastated. I've been watching this though since day one, and you will find some things on X. You will find some things. Probably the majority of the information is gathered from TikTok. Strange how they want to throw TikTok away right now, huh? I mean, I know there's issues. I'm not saying there's not issues, but if you look in the right places on TikTok, you will find a lot of information about a lot of things that other platforms may not allow. Rumble is a great place to find stuff that you never wanted to know. Not that you don't need to know it, but it's just uh yeah, it's jumping right down the rabbit hole. Um Silky part, sorry, I couldn't highlight your comments because that was a recording. Um Part two, I don't know. That will be up to Jennifer. There are some crazy things that she also told me. Hello there. Vaccinated. Vaccinated. Oh, I love that. They're still searching and finding uh, people. Prayers. Yeah. Uh, that's what I was going to say. Jennifer said that because I asked her, how many are they saying, casualties are they? And she said that the number that they've been given is 90. When we know, in fact, she said just amongst the people that she worked with, they started counting up the number of missing people, and just the ones that she knows about, she said it would be closer to 1,000. Now, I watched a TikTok video of my mic's not on. Hold on. Can y'all hear me now? Oh, okay. Some of you can hear me. Yeah, I can turn it up. Oh, it's way down. There you go. I don't have to sit so close to it either. That's cool. Let me just turn it a little bit. Everybody hear me okay? All right. Let me make sure I'm not sharing anything. Okay. Yeah, like, okay, so I was watching a TikTok video, and I don't know that I reposted it on my X or not, but I will say this. There was a man there who said that, I mean, he was out at a field. Of course, it didn't show. He wasn't showing the stuff he shouldn't show, but he said there were literally body parts everywhere. And he said some were down so far in the mud, and there are things that I can't say online, but basically parts were floating by as the uh, floods were coming in. Um, Let me go back to what y'all are saying. Uh, Jay says, I have never been more ashamed of my own country over this. Me too, Jay. Me too. I honestly just sit around and my mind is blown. I cannot believe, I can't believe that we're not doing anything. I mean, when I think about Katrina, I remember people crying and the media. Don't y'all remember the media being down there and the people crying for help, saying, we have no water, we don't have this, we don't have that, and where are the supplies? And the mainstream media was covering all of that stuff, right? But all we saw about Western North Carolina and the other areas, because it also went into parts of Tennessee and Georgia, but it was like, oh, okay, bad hurricanes, devastation, trees down, flooding. That's it. That's literally it. And then, let's look at the drones. Um, and I'm not saying that isn't important as well. We're going to talk about drones, probably not tonight, but probably on my next live, we're going to talk about more stuff. But yeah, the lack of help from our government is, when I put it in chat, it is crimes against humanity. I do not understand why people aren't being held accountable. Like, this is catastrophic, absolutely catastrophic. And we don't know what the death toll is, and we probably won't know. And that's the thing. When you watch some people who are there on site, they will tell you over and over that there are bodies buried in the mud, body parts, whole bodies. Um, I heard one man in another area estimate 600 people. And if you're talking about people, and I'm very familiar with rural, okay? Because I am rural, but I mean, it's still a fairly big place. I mean, not compared to some, but it is way bigger than, the small town that you saw, that Jennifer showed. And I mean, we've got a TJ Maxx, for goodness sakes. I mean, we're up there, right? So, um, oh, hold on just a second. Um, Sorry, y'all. So sorry. My daughter has a flat tire and she's stranded. Okay, so I'm gonna have to end this. Let me see what you're saying. Um, yeah. Uh, sorry. Yeah, we'll continue this talk. If y'all want a part two, you want to ask more questions. Yeah, let me just add one more thing that Jennifer did tell me before I end this stream. She told me that there are times, now remember, it's cold. It's a lot colder in the North Carolina mountains than it is here in Alabama most of the time, although we get very cold as well. But she said there are times that you go into an area and all of a sudden you smell this god awful stench, and you know what it is. It is rotting bodies. And she said there are just different times, different places that you go, and it's overwhelming. I mean, that should tell you there are many missing people. And when you live rural and you live off the main road and you're in, you have to go through several county roads, and you can go down a dirt road and there be 15 houses down there. Who is alive and who is not? Like, they're not even marking. Y'all, I can't even with this. I'm just asking you, the only thing I know to do is to keep talking about it, share, get other people to talk about it. We've got to make a noise, because if we don't, then the government is going to just do nothing. Do nothing like they've already been doing. Meanwhile, we don't even know how many people who are dead, laying in fields, buried in mud, and their life insurance policies, like, they're not even paying. It is insanity what's going on, and right under our own noses in our own country, and nobody is talking about it. Nobody is upset. I mean, we're very distracted with the drones, and I'm not saying that's not a huge problem. I don't know what's going on. But at the same time, what I do know is that people are cold, they're hungry, they're being forced off their land, and everyone is in the mainstream media is turning a blind eye. Let's not look at it. Let's not think about it. Oh, those poor people. Somebody has got to do something. This is a crime against humanity. All right, I'm gonna have to go. Okay, Samantha. Samantha says, "I am so sorry uh to have to go, y'all. I honestly, hello there. Yes, it is infuriating. It's beyond infuriating. Um, Good to have you. Yeah. So, hey, Hiawatha. I hate to go. I was just getting all wound up, like an 8-day clock, as they say. I'll probably go live tomorrow morning ish, mid morning, sometime. We'll finish this discussion, and I will ask Jennifer if she wants to do a part two. Let me know what questions you have, and let's see if we can figure out how to help. All right. Remember Samaritan's Purse, and I put the link in the chat. I'll probably put it later in this video, but I mean, you can call, or you can, ask, can you, I don't know, can you directly donate to Western North Carolina or certain places? I do not know, but we can certainly try. All right. I appreciate you all so much. Y'all just be safe out there. Stay angry about things that should infuriate you. Whatever you do, just stay silky. Bye bye.